What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, another special Kickstarter review. And today I'm very excited to check out Rise of Tribes from Breaking Games. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages, 9, 10 plus. Probably take about 30 to 40 minutes to play. And in Rise of Tribes, you are going to be rising up your tribe. You're going to be growing your tribe and moving your tribe and gathering resources, completing goals, acquiring technologies in order to gain 15 victory points. It is a light, simple, build up your civilization, spread out type of game. But is it good? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Rise of Tribes. Before we get started, I want to mention this is the prototype copy I have right here. Even though it looks really nice, take everything you see here with a grain of salt. So first and foremost, we got our handy dandy rule book. It is 8 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. It is exceptionally well done. It will have you up and running in no time at all. Huge, huge thumbs up on this rule booklet. So in Rise of Tribes, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trying to be the first person to get to 15 points on this board. If you do that, you will win immediately. You are going to get points by acquiring these cards right here and then trying to complete these cards right here, and also by building villages and defending those villages. I'll show you how all that works in a second. So let's go over the components. Let's get into the gameplay. So first we've got the board set up right here, and it's set up for a 2-player game. If you're playing with a 3 or 4-player game, it will be set up slightly different. And the big thing here are there are 3 different types of terrain tile. First, you're going to have woods, you're going to have water, and you're going to have stone, and these are going to produce various different resources. The water will produce fish, the stone will produce, you guessed it, stone, and the woods will produce, you guessed it, wood. And those are the 3 types of resources in the game. You are going to use those resources to do a couple different things. First, you can build villages on spots where you are. Villages are very good because they will give you a point at the beginning of every round, but also they will allow you to potentially get rid of these cards that you don't like. So these are called lead cards, and everyone's going to have a deck of these lead cards. In order, you're going to have to do a specific action to gain these lead cards. So let's take a look. There's 2 types of lead cards that you'll get. The first one are going to be brown ones, and they'll be pretty self-explanatory. You're going to be gathering resources or spreading yourself out to different hexes, getting all your people on the board, so on and so forth. And once you complete those, you will gain victory points. 4 victory points is a lot of victory points. Now, there also are what are called upgrades, which were the blue ones. Think of them as like technology. So you may move 2 additional tribe members if you build this cart with 2 fish and 1 wood. It's also going to give you a victory point, but it gives you a persistent special ability you'll be able to use throughout the game. So a nice mixture of cards there. So those are going to be the 2 main ways that you're going to gain victory points. Continuing on component-wise, you're going to have a bunch of meeples. So when you first start the game, the first player is going to put 2 on the board. The second player will put 3 on the board, and the 4th player will get... You'll slowly get more things depending on the first player, second player, third player, 4th player, because you will have a slight advantage, especially considering the game ends immediately when someone gets to 15 points. So next we have this board up here. This is a very useful board. I'm going to go over this board in a minute, but what you need to know is this is how the board is going to start set up. And there are going to be 3 faces on the die. You're going to have the little sun, you're going to have the little moon, and then you're going to have a bunch of blanks. Those will make slightly more sense later. Also, there's going to be an event deck up here. And if you ever roll doubles, then you will flip over an event card, assuming that it's not already full, and they'll do various different things. So place 6 food on this card. When a player gathers, they also may take 2 resources from this card for each lake hex producing. So for instance, if you have a bunch of lakes, this is going to give you a bunch more fish. Droughts, the population limit of each hex is now 4 tribe members, and I'll tell you how that works a little bit later. This one's stone. This one you're going to have various different resources on it. These are wild hunters, where you'll be stacking these neutral tokens. So lots of various different events. You'll never go through all of them in the game. So each game will have its own unique flavor. So the best way to show you the different actions in the game is just to go ahead, roll the dice, and do it. So first thing you're going to do, and we'll be looking at our handy dandy little player board here, which is going to tell you the order of play. It's also going to tell you what you need to do to build a village, because everybody is going to be asymmetrical in how they build villages. Also, when you're in the advanced version of the game, you can play with these asymmetrical cards, which I do recommend after the first or second game. They add a lot of variability to the game a little bit. But first thing you're going to do, villages earn points. So if you had a village on the board, bada boom like that, you would gain a point at the beginning of every round. So it's a great way to earn points. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to roll your 2 dice, and then you're going to place them out onto one of these action spots up here. So let's go over the 4 different action spots. So first action spot is grow. So if I want to do the grow action, I would put my dice here. I would slap that over, put this down here, and then I would grow. Now normally, growing means you're going to add 3 tribe members. So you would just go 1, 2, 3. Or if you were spread out like, say, this, you might go 1 here, and 1 here. But since I actually have 2 sons up here, I get to grow 4 tribe members instead of 3. Now, if I had 2 moons up here, I would only get to grow 2. So the dice up here in their faces is huge on which actions you might potentially take. So that's the grow action, pretty self-explanatory. You were just going to acquire more meeples, and you have to put those meeples on spots where you are. Now, if you ever get 5 people on a spot, then you have conflict, but I'll go over what conflict is a little bit later. So next, we have the move action. The move action, very simple as well. You put your dice up here, you do that, and then you can move meeple's spaces. So this one says move 4, which we would actually be moving 4. So you could move 1 guy 4 spaces, 2 guys 2 spaces, any combination that gets you to 4. If you have 2 sons, you move 6. If you have 2 moons, you only get to move 2, which is definitely a bummer, but luckily you can get technology cards, which will upgrade that. So next we have the gather action here. So let's just say it's our next turn. We roll the dice up, and oh man, definitely not the best option, but we'll go ahead and we will gather. So boom, we do this, and we're going to gain 2 resources for 2 of our hexes. Now, if there were 2 moons, we would get 1 resource for 2 hexes, or if there were 2 suns, we would get 2 resources for 3 hexes. So that's a pretty big swing. You can go from 2 resources to potentially only getting 6 resources. So it is a big deal which dice are up here. So for this, I would look down here and I'd say, you know what? 2 by 2, I'm going to get 2 stone and I'm going to get 2 wood because those are 2 spots I'd on. And you would take those and you would place them on your board or near your board, just like so. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, the last spot is the lead spot. So let's just say we do boop, we put this up here. Unfortunately, we would have 2 moons, which kind of stinks, so we will only get 1 lead card. But that is now a lead card, which would go down here in your in-progress goals or your goal deck. So you would be trying to acquire this. So now, I need majority in 3/4 hex, which, you know what, that actually works out really well because I have that. So I would complete this goal, which would be fantastic once you get to stage 5. So let's talk about conflicts. I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you have 5 people or more on a space, then bad stuff is going to happen. So let's get some dudes out here. So let's just say I'm on my mosey way right here, and I'm just having a good old time on this space right here, and somebody decides that they are going to move, and they move 6. So they might go 1, 2, 3, and then they might just not use the rest of their movement. They might do something else. So after they've done their second action, so let's just say they grow as well and put more people, different spots or whatever, then you have what is called a conflict. And conflict is a very deterministic combat where you and all the people on here, so let's just say we had this is what was going on. Obviously, this is a gray person, so this isn't a person that would be in the game, but let's just, for this example, do it. So how combat works is, it's pretty simple. First round of combat, boom, everybody's going to take one of their people off the board. Second round of combat, everyone's going to take one of their people off the board. Last color left on there is going to be the winner of the conflict. So yellow would have just successfully taken this over, and the only way that I would be able to get this yellow off of this space would be if I then did conflict like that. So conflict is very deterministic, and in the higher player counts, there will be lots and lots of conflicts, especially over some highly contested areas, and how the board is set up will impact the conflict. So the only thing that I really haven't talked too much about is the event deck, which when you roll doubles, an event will happen. You'll read it out loud. You'll put it up here. You might put pieces on it or neutral pawns on it. Do whatever. But once everyone has resolved their conflicts, you will then build villages, reach goals, and then you will rinse, wash, and repeat. The first person to get to 15 points will be the winner of the game. That, in a nutshell, is how Rise of Tribes is played. Alrighty then, Rise of Tribes from Breaking Games, coming to a Kickstarter near you very, very soon. I'll be sure to post that Kickstarter link down below. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. 2 to 4 players are very restricted player count. Also, on your turn, you are only going to have a maximum of 4 potential actions you can take. And after you've taken the first action, you're only going to have 3 potential actions you can take. So it is a very simple game. People looking for a little bit more of a meaty experience probably aren't going to be too turned on by this game. That being said, I really do like when you add the asymmetrical powers, and I think it does add an extra oomph to the game. But that being said, it still is still a very simple game, which will be a turn-off to some people. Another comment I have that some people are going to have with the game, I personally didn't mind, is the fact that once someone gets to 15 victory points, it's over. Just boom. Which means some people, and I've seen this strategy happen before, will just try to accumulate goal cards that they can potentially complete, and then they'll just lay down like 3 goal cards on one turn. Now, that being said, that is a very dangerous game, because with a lot of those goals, you can potentially lose those goals if you lose a spot due to conflict. So it is risky business, but some people are still not going to like the fact that the game will end just boom, just like that. It's just, oh, this person just won. I don't get another turn. I don't get a rebuttal. I don't mind it, but some people will. Any other con that I have with the game? Oh, another con that I want to mention, it's not a huge con, but it is going to bug some people, is the fact that 2 players versus a 4-player game will be very different experience when it comes to conflict. In a 4-player game, there will be blood. There will be conflict constantly with, 2, 3 people potentially in the mix, sometimes even 4 people if you get crazy going into the mix. And conflict will happen a lot more, whereas a 2-player version of the game, normally you're going to set up on this side of the map, the other person will set up on that side of the map, and you're going to, just build up your villages, and it's a much more peaceful game. I personally like both versions of the game, but it is something that I did want to mention. Any other cons that I have with the game? Oh, dice rolling. Some people are not going to be a fan of the dice rolling. If you roll 2 moons, 2 or 3 times, it's just like, oh, well, bummer, man. This stinks for me. Now, that being said, a lot of the times, if you're the first person to roll doubles, though, you'll get to take advantage of the event card. So I feel like it does mitigate it somewhat, and everyone has to deal with the dice roll, so I don't feel like it's that big of a deal. Moving on to the pros, I really enjoy Rise of Tribes, and I can easily recommend this game if you were in the market for a lighter, simple strategy game. This is Brad Brooks. I think it might be his 2nd or 3rd game. His first one was Letter Tycoon, which I love, love, love. So I was really excited to check this one out, and I really enjoyed this game, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this game for a lot of different reasons. First, it is incredibly easy to learn. Oh my goodness, take note, game designers and developers. This is what a rule booklet should look like. Look at all those illustrations. Look at all those examples. Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. So easy to set up, so easy to learn, so easy to teach. I love it, especially with a light strategy game like this. You don't want to scare people off from your game, especially if it's a simple game, before they've even begun to play. This one teaches you how to play. It teaches you how to set up just excellently. So I'm done smooching on that. Next, even in the prototype form, the components are very nice. I really like the villages. The tiles look nice. The board, I love how the board works. I love how it's like, oh, I really need to do this action, but if I do this action, I'm going to be doing it at a lesser state. Whereas, maybe I don't really want to grow, but right now I can get 4 dudes. Or maybe if there's an event up, I might be able to get 6 dudes right now and put 6 people on the board, which is huge and could really help me out later. I also like how the villages work. Like, villages put a huge target on your back, but getting that 1 victory point every turn is so big. But the biggest thing I like about the villages, and I think I might actually forgot to mention in the middle part, is the fact that they allow you to get rid of goal cards that you don't think you're going to be able to complete, so you can draw additional goal cards, which is huge. And I really like how the goal cards work, how there's a nice mixture of things you're trying to achieve so you can get bigger victory points, but then there's also those technology upgrades, and those technology, I love any game that allows me to upgrade my technology, and those technology upgrades are huge because they allow you to better mitigate the luck of the die roll, because it's like, well, you know what, maybe maybe I got 2 moons on the gathering resources, but since I have this, it's going to make it so that I can gather more resources on more tiles. I like that. I like how everything in this game works. I don't really have too many holes to punch in this game. As long as you go into this game knowing that it's on the lighter side, that it's on the more simple side, I really can easily recommend this game. I think this is a fun gateway game. I think it's not going to overwhelm new gamers. I think this is still a rock-solid game night game because there is enough meat here. I think it's a great family game if you have 2 to 4 people you're looking to play with. So overall, I really enjoyed Rise of Tribes. This is an easy recommendation. I think this is going to be a pretty popular game, too. I really do. Like, I see a lot of games. I play a lot of games, especially the Kickstarter games. You're like, this is a great game, but I think it's more of a niche game. This is a great game, but I feel like this is going to hit a wide audience because of its ease of play, its ease of learning, its short time span. It's got some nice artwork, some cool ideas, some cool different ideas as well. I really like how the grow, move, gather, lead system works. So Rise of Tribes, really cool game, easy recommendation from me. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know, what is your favorite gateway game? Your favorite gateway game now, not when you first got into the hobby. Because I feel like those are 2 very different questions. For me personally, my favorite gateway game is still probably, oh man, it's either Zombie Dice or Ticket to Ride. It's like a close toss-up between the 2. I really enjoy both games. I feel like they're different enough that I can put both of them on the list. So for me personally, Zombie Dice or that, even though King of Tokyo, man, King of Tokyo is really awesome too. You know what, I'm going to go King of Tokyo. Forget the other 2, King of Tokyo. But let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite gateway game now, not when you got into the hobby, now. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.